Hey, what's going on? We are both here. I'm here with. Introduce yourself there.
I'm HonorHammer26 for those of you who know who I am.
I'll probably put the link down in the description. I'm sure we're putting this on both channels eventually. And we're going to be talking about Wrestle Kingdom 5. What did you think of the show overall, Eric?
I thought it was great, but the biggest show of the year in Japan, it needed a little more in my opinion. That's just a little bit of a nitpick, even though it was still a great show. But maybe I thought might needed to go to the next level, but it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the card looked overly impressive going in. It definitely could have reconsidered their choice of TNA talent. You know, if TNA were willing to let their world champion go over there, I'm sure New Japan could have picked anyone they wanted. You know, I mean, having a TNA World Championship match on the show probably makes the show seem like an international commodity, I guess, but the fans still didn't like it, so I don't think there was any reason not to bring over the best workers from TNA. That could have really put the show over the top, I think.
Yeah, because I know the Machine Guns have experience in TNA. I know the Dudleys came to be before they broke up, so that's probably why they didn't bring them over. But I think RVD was a great choice, especially the twin with someone like Yano. I really did like that match, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, I'd say it's just a solid show that won't waste your time. Nothing more than that. I wouldn't necessarily call it great. I'd say it's definitely solid to good myself. First match was for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. We have Bad Intentions versus Beer Money versus Muscle Orchestra. Go ahead.
I thought this was an okay opener. I mean, I kind of didn't like the finish at all, but I mean, it makes sense with who won. I mean, Beer Money did look pretty good here. I mean, I don't think they really fit the New Japan niche for whatever reason. I mean, I think Gen Me would do fine here. I think the Machine Guns would do excellent, but Beer Money, I'm a little. I mean, I like them as a tag team, but I'm a little iffy on them being used in New Japan. Strongman and Manabu, Nakanishi. I mean, with what they did, they were very impressive. Like, I think Strongman, I don't even know his name, it's obviously not Strongman.
Yeah, I think it was kind of hard to make it exciting because there was pretty much no chance that Bad Intentions were losing here. That's not to say that New Japan have not, nor will they ever again, put the tag titles on a bare Gaikokujin, but the crowd not being into Beer Money at all kind of gave it away that they weren't going to win. And Nakanishi and Strongman, they're probably better as a team than they are on their own, but they're still not on the level of Bad Intentions. I said the match was still good, just kind of you want to be able to suspend your disbelief a little bit for a tag title match.
Yeah, it was decent. I thought of everybody, Karl Anderson looked by far the most impressive in this match. But Strongman did do like the gorilla press Sunshine Bernard, so that was impressive. But besides that, not much here.
Yeah, so I think we both agree on this one. 2 3/4. I have that as well. So we can move on to Road to Fantastica Mania. Jushin Thunder Liger and Héctor Garza versus La Sombra and Máscara Dorada. This was fine, you know, you can kind of overlook the fact that it's just basically exhibition lucha and had no structure to it because that's kind of the point of bringing these guys in, just to show what they can do. And the crowd popped for it, so I think it served its purpose just fine.
Yeah, it was a little spotty here and there, but I mean, with 4 guys like this, I mean, maybe not Liger, but the other 3, you kind of expect that.
Yeah.
Besides that, the Sombra looked very good here. Máscara Dorada, he looked okay. I mean, he definitely let La Sombra shine a little more here, I felt. And then Héctor Garza, I haven't seen him since his. I mean, I know he's been wrestling in Mexico and stuff, but I haven't seen him since his little TNA run. So this was good to see him here. And then Liger is one of my favorites ever, so I definitely don't mind seeing him. So it's definitely a decent.
Yeah, just a good representation of lucha, I'd say. No problems with it. Deep Sleep to Lose, Hiroshi Tenzan versus Takashi Iizuka.
Well, before we get to that, what did you give the last match?
I only gave it 2. I really just thought it was just kind of okay.
That's fine. I gave it 2 3/4. I mean, we'll watch that description box. But,
yeah.
You know, it's around the same level. So.
Yeah. Iizuka and Tenzan. I didn't like this. I think this just kind of shows why Iizuka is better off in 6-man tags. You know, he can do his crazy act before the match, and he can bring out his iron glove at some point in the match. In this one, he has to remain interesting for the whole match, and I don't think he's very capable of doing that.
I agree. He's definitely stronger with other people around him. I think it was a good storyline going in, but the match was different for that reason, but not that much different.
I think you'd have to be at least a little bit invested in either of these guys to really appreciate that. That's just me.
I agree with that a lot.
And plus, we knew from the live report that RVD and Yano were going to be a hardcore match, so putting this kind of brawl match just before it didn't really serve any useful purpose, I don't think.
I agree. I completely agree with that. I gave it 2. I probably should lower it, but I felt it for the reason...
I probably have it at lower than that.
Yeah, I have it at 2 only for the reason that, you know, it was different and I liked the storyline going into it, but for a match-wise, it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I can see that. New Japan versus TNA, Toru Yano versus Rob Van Dam. This was basically a match that could have been for the hardcore title in 2000. Which is fine. My problem is, where are Yano's comedy spots? You know, why did they decide to get rid of those? I know that expectations weren't all that high, but throw in some comedy and this could have been a lot of fun. Like his matches with Tajiri.
Yeah, I really did like that, especially because RVD was very, very over. You know, I mean, it was very clear of that. I mean, RVD hasn't made a lot of Japan appearances. I have a DVD where he has a lot of appearances with his All Japan days, like young in his career, but you know, recently he hasn't been all that much. So, or at all. So, you know, it was really nice to see him here in Japan again. And Yano was a good opponent for him. I mean, I would have more liked to see him against Nakada. I thought that could have been good, but for what this was, I really didn't like it. A little bit of a predictable finish, in my opinion, but I still liked it. I gave it 3 stars.
Yeah, I think I really missed Yano's comedy spots. That kind of really didn't make it fun for me, but people weren't really expecting much, so this didn't really offend me that much. Moving on to the first, I think, great thing on this show, Nagata versus Suzuki. I think, you know, I really like this. This is just a perfect case to me of the good stuff is just so good that you can overlook the stuff they did badly. There's a whole section near the start where Suzuki is just working over Nagata's leg. Doesn't lead to anything, but by the end you don't care because they're telling the story with their faces, not their arms and legs. So I really, really liked it.
I really liked it as well. I mean, it's the best match on the show, in my opinion.
I think it's the match of the night for me, I think. It's close kind of thing, because there's a couple of matches on this show that kind of are border between very good and great, but I think this was the one that I had just kind of no problems with whatsoever. Just really, really good stuff.
Well, I kind of like the last 3 matches better than this for whatever reason, and I like the next match better than this, but, you know, it was definitely a good match, something worth going out of your way to see, but, you know, I feel like it could have gone a little longer, a little bit of a better... I mean, the storytelling here was excellent. It was top-notch, but just a little bit of the in-ring was kind of lacking, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Minoru Suzuki, so I really didn't like him in this match. I loved Okada, though, so it was just okay. I mean, it was good, but it could have gotten a little better.
Alright, moving on to the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. Prince Devitt defending against Kota Ibushi. You know, give both these guys credit. I think they did a very good job getting an unmotivated crowd hot for this, especially down the finishing stretch. But to kind of, I think the juniors matches need a great crowd from beginning to end to kind of put them over the top, and they just kind of had to work very hard to get them into it. They succeeded, but it just kind of took a while.
I'll agree with that, but this is my match of the night, actually. I felt that, you know, these two have amazing chemistry in other matches last year than the tag team encounters they had. You know, I wanted something special here, we really didn't get to the amazing classic level at all. But I still thought it was very, very good, even to great. Definitely, I mean, it's my match of the year at this point in the year, like, how little I've seen 2011 stuff with TNA not putting on that great of a pay-per-view, but, you know, this is still a great match in my opinion. You know, Devitt definitely looked like a star here. He looked very, very good. Ibushi, you know, he's definitely one of the most recognized guys who was a regular for New Japan, who holds one of their titles. So I really did like him, but I'll definitely do the point the crowd really wasn't in it for a lot of the match. But the points they were very good, but when they weren't in it, they weren't good at all. So I think I still give it 4 1/4 though. I really, really like the ending in the match. Yeah,
this is closer to great than Devitt and Omega was for me. I still can't call it great because I don't think this is nearly as much fun as Golden Lovers versus Apollo 55. But, you know, everything made sense. Some of Ibushi's more impressive moves were used to put him in control, and then Devitt came back with some good stuff. So, definitely very, very good stuff, I thought. No problems with it, really. Just kind of the crowd kind of brought it down, I think. Okay, so New Japan versus Noah, Battle Combustion 1, Hiroki Goto and Kazuchika Okada versus Takashi Sugiura and Yoshihiro Takayama. I don't even think it was because of time, because this match doesn't waste any time it has, but there's not enough struggle for Okada to tag in Goto, and Goto's hot tag, I'm sorry, I know you're a big fan of Goto, but it has no intensity behind it, and there really doesn't seem to be a lot of meaning behind Okada being able to slam Takayama all those times. Those are the things that kind of really brought this match down for me.
I know I'm a huge fan of Goto, but I completely agree with you on that. I thought Goto should have had a better place in this card to begin with. But for where he was kind of useless. If you want to set this guy up to be your next big thing, no pun intended, Brock Lesnar, but if you want to set him up to be the guy that's going to probably beat Tanahashi as the 57, sorry for the spoiler, but a lot of people know by now, but, if you're going to set him up to be that guy, he needs much better representation on the biggest show in Japan of the year. Him and Sugiura have amazing chemistry. You can tell from the match last year, Wrestle Kingdom, and Takayama and him, I would imagine, have good chemistry. So, I know this match was kind of more about Okada and the Noah guys, but, Goto is an afterthought, and, I don't like that being such a huge fan of his. But, for what it was, I think it was okay. It could have gotten a better rating if it used Goto and Sugiura a little more, but for what it was just okay.
I still thought it was good. The finishing stretch has some stuff that you're going to remember, but I would expect Okada to be better when he comes back again. That's just me. You don't really get to see a lot of him being who he is in this one, I don't think.
He looks better than he did before, I'll tell you that. But I think he should be better than he is now when he comes back full-time for New Japan.
Yeah. And then I think we get to the shits. TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Jeff Hardy defending against Tetsuya Naito. One thing you take away from this show is that TNA looked so amateurish throughout the whole thing. RVD in a filler match is fine, but beer money weren't over. Borash just terrible at announcing the juniors match. He wasn't terrible on anything else, but he just kind of doesn't fit in the New Japan show, I don't think. And the fact that the world champion doesn't deliver, I think, just kind of makes them look very amateurish. Even though I really don't see what the big deal is about Naito, I haven't really seen a standout match from him. The fact that he did most of the work in this made it at least watchable, so a credit goes to him for that.
I like No Limit, but I'm not sold on Naito either. I really like this match with Tanahashi, Destruction. But I'm still waiting to see what the big deal about him, getting a huge singles push would be. And I don't think Hardy's the guy to bring it out of either of them, honestly. Hardy in ring needs a guy who can push him. His overness was always because of his character and just not with him with Matt Hardy previously before he put on a lot of weight. Now with TNA, but I just think Jeff Hardy needs a guy like, maybe if they didn't Goto versus Hardy, maybe that would have worked. And put, Naito with Okada. Maybe that would have been a little bit of a better fit. But, this match was hard to sit through. Naito made it at least watchable. I completely agree with that point. I completely agree with the Jeremy Borash thing as well. That this match was the first match on the show. At least the Kendon thing, which has a similar rating, in my opinion, that just had substance behind it. This was just bland and stupid.
Yeah, thumbs down to Hardy is all I'll say. The second New Japan versus Noah match, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Go Shiozaki. Both their 2010 matches, I thought they were both good, but as far as what I expect these guys could do together, they both kind of a little under-delivered. This match, there was a point where I was ready to overlook the fact that Nakamura was kind of inconsistent with the leg selling, because about 2/3 into the match, Shiozaki just takes control. He does such a phenomenal job with the leadership that I was really getting into him. And the finishing stretch, I don't mind it because it really didn't make Shiozaki look weak or anything, but it just kind of happens too fast. Nakamura just kind of wins out of nowhere. That's kind of what brought this match down for me, because I was really into it when Shiozaki started being the leader here.
I thought, this was better than those other matches in 2010, to be honest. I know that's not saying much because I wasn't a big fan of either for them, to be completely honest. I thought the 30-minute time limit draw was a little bit better. And I really didn't like their match from the August 22nd show. I know it has a name for Noah, but I can't remember it at the moment. This match just seemed a little more paced for me. The leg selling I really did like as well. And then I thought maybe, it led to Shiozaki getting the win somehow with, Nakamura not being able to hit the Bomaye or whatever it was. But, it was very consistent, but it still was a very entertaining match. I'm willing to move past after this. I really, really liked it besides that.
Yeah, I mean, I would have rather see Shiozaki win this one, but if you're going to have Nakamura win, just kind of have more struggle towards that. It just kind of seems like Shiozaki is in control, then all of a sudden Nakamura does a couple of moves and wins the match. That's kind of how I felt about it. Kind of what stops this from being great, in my opinion. Just,
I agree with that.
yeah. Close to great. It was almost going to be my favourite thing on the show, but I would still say it 3 3/4 for it. I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah. The next match, this shocked me to all hell. Togi Makabe versus Masato Tanaka. You know, even though I liked their match from September last, it's not really the sort of match you want to see twice. You're really interested in a second time, you know, but they actually progressed some of the stuff from the last match that went unresolved, kind of, because, you know, the last match, Makabe wasn't really bringing it as the face. I think he did this time. I think, you know, the table spots meant something. The crowd were really into Makabe. You know, this surpassed any expectations I had for it.
I'll agree with that. I know Tanaka, I mean, especially with probably Tanaka's best opponent of all time in Mike Awesome. You know, I expected maybe to go in that direction. I mean, it sort of was like that, but not really, in my opinion. I mean, I know the table spots, you know, the powerbomb type moves into them, but, you know, it kind of had a little bit more substance to it this time in their match at the last September pay-per-view, which I'll agree with. This was better, you know. I kind of expected this match to quiet down the crowd, to get back into Kojima Tanahashi, but it wasn't the case at all. You know, the crowd was really into both matches, I felt. But, you know, this was very good. The spots actually meant something, which I really, really liked. They had something to everything. And then, you know, it was a very, very good match. I liked it.
Yeah, I would actually really call this a great match. I'm kind of undecided. This was one of those matches that I was kind of border between very good and great, but I really, really liked it just because I was not expecting that much from it. So definitely a big thumbs up for that. Then we move on to the main event for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Satoshi Kojima defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi. This match, you know, I reacted to it exactly how I expected to react because I really loved the final from the G1. I loved that match so much, and I didn't think they could top it, and I don't think they did, to be honest. You know, it had direction, don't get me wrong, because the limb work was there, but it wasn't really used to lead to anything overly interesting. You know, that's what their G1 match did really, really well. I still liked it. You know, I really liked Tanahashi, so I definitely still liked it, but compared to their G1 match, I don't think this really shapes up at all.
I think this match was kind of a worthy main event for Wrestle Kingdom. But I know you're a little bit bigger on the G1 match than I am, but I still didn't think it reached that level. I mean, I believe you gave that 4.5.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I really love that match.
Yeah, I gave it 4.25. And you know, the G1 match, you know, it summed up, it set up Kojima perfectly. I love that about it. This match, you know, that match had a great finish. This one had a good finish, you know. I mean, there was so much in it that and it made Tanahashi seem legit when he won the match. And I mean, I wish they gave Kojima a little bit of a longer reign because just because, you know, he won the G1, he just had so much momentum. But I mean, I guess Tanahashi it is his time. But you know, as a match, this was very good to great. I mean, I give it 4 stars. I really, really liked it.
The atmosphere around it really helps it, I think. It feels too important not to say it's a great match, even though I don't think the actual wrestling is great. Just because of the G1 match, I think this one just kind of seems lesser than it. But it really does have a good big fight feel to it.
I'll agree with that. You know, that's something when New Japan is good at, it is very, very good at. But when it's not, it's a little intolerable. I don't like it when New Japan doesn't have this with their matches, even if it's the opener to anywhere on the card, especially in the main event. And I'm glad this match happened. Very glad it happened. So
yeah,
a very good end.
I think you would have rather see Goto in this match, though.
Honestly, I would have, but it would have been a little too predictable, in my opinion, if Goto had won the match against Tanahashi at the last pay-per-view for him to win this match. So I'm glad I really didn't know who was going to win going into this match. Because Goto, they're setting up for a while. If Goto had beaten Tanahashi, I would have, without a doubt, thought he was going to win this match. So I'm kind of glad he actually didn't win, for one thing.
Okay, so that was the show. I still think it's just kind of a solid to good show. I'd probably give it maybe a 7.75 or maybe an 8.0. Again, there's a lot of there's not a lot, but there's some matches on here that are border between very good and great that I'm probably going to change my mind on maybe after a little bit of rewatching. But I still don't think it'll waste your time. And for a show that's this long, if it doesn't waste your time, then it's at least good, I'd say.
one thing about Wrestle Kingdom is that it always has just an awesome feel to it. You know, just it feels like it's a legit event. Like the stage setup is always magnificent, and just like when you can see everybody in the crowd and the lights are a little bit more up, it just looks awesome. Just the look of, I mean, it's the Japanese WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
It has the look to it, and that bumped it up a little bit more for me. I gave the show an 8.25. I really liked it. It's a solid show from top to bottom, very good. I could maybe call it great only because I felt that no match really went under my expectations. I mean, I kind of did expect Hardy to be a dud, but not that big of a dud. But, you know, if Ibushi and Devitt maybe went a little longer or something in the middle, you know. But still very good going out of your way to say I like it.
Yeah, so that was our review, and I'm sure both of us will be talking to you all later. We'll see you later.